Thanks so much for having me today, Yael. So our model is virtual first, not virtual only. And what that means is that we do most of our day-to-day work just like this, at home, in Zoom boxes, and having the flexibility to choose where we live and work. And then we couple that with quality in-person connection points. It could be through office-like settings like our library, small group strategic offsites, local community get-togethers, or even in-person all-company events. But with our model, most of our teamwork happens virtually. And this really creates a radically better work environment for our people and more upside for the business too. I think that virtual first, not virtual only, removes the power dynamics of place, and it levels the playing field by creating equitable employment experiences. It also allows us to further our diversity recruiting goals. To date, we have team members in 38 states and counting. We're in the Ontario region of Canada, and we're throughout the Philippines as well.
Wow, yeah, that's quite dispersed. So tell me, what was the catalyst for the transition?
Well, I think like most of us, the pandemic, it made us reevaluate how we work. So prior to that, we were 100% in office. We just had this really robust in-office culture, and our employees were concentrated exclusively in the Bay, in Salt Lake, Toronto, and Manila. So when the world changed, while we were figuring out what to do and how to get by those first few months, just like everyone, we were simultaneously incredibly intentional to determine what we wanted to do for the long term. Who were we going to be? How were we going to operate in this post-COVID world? And I think, for us, we considered hybrid models, but we really couldn't get past how it would create disparities for employees who lived outside of these key office locations. And, I think, proximity bias, it's a real thing. We didn't want to create situations where some employees were in the room where it happens and others were dialed in on a conference call, kind of missing the side conversations. So we really designed our way of working to be more effective, more flexible, and more equitable. And so, I think for us, remote work was about our principles and our values. We completely overhauled our way of thinking about the workplace. And it's been, like 3 years now, April of 21,
Wow.
since we made the decision. We're not looking back. It's been great.
That is incredible. With all that, really, so 3 years now, that's definitely a long time. I wonder then with virtual first, how does employees, your employees, right, Thumbtack employees are taking ownership over their work week, right? So they are,
Mhm.
not expected to commute day in and day out. How does it look like then?
Yeah. So, I think virtual work can work for anyone, but it requires an all-in commitment from employers. And we found it's been really meaningful and impactful model for employees who need flexibility for either their location or their personal commitments. So I think like one example of employees taking ownership of their work week largely falls in where they work. So our employees can work from almost anywhere in the world, varying amounts of time depending on the country and the time zone. And already we've had employees take advantage of this. They're going and working at from Portugal and Colombia and all these just really incredible places. And then I think like another piece of that is I personally love seeing our employees coordinate one-on-ones and sometimes even entire team meetings as walk and talks. So when you don't need to be in front of a screen or a document, we're seeing employees incorporate movement and changes of scenery into their day. They're walking throughout the neighborhood or along a trail, while they collaborate with their colleagues. And I'm happy to say that work-life balance is at an all-time high amongst our employees. And I really think this ownership is a huge part in that.
Yeah, and I'm sure with that, right, that sounds like a completely forward-thinking model that brings a lot of benefits. So, what are the work norms that, or new work norms that have been established, or new work norms that you're seeing in the company?
Yeah, absolutely. We want our team members to have ownership of their week, and we want to make sure that we have guardrails and principles in place that not only ensure we're able to collaborate effectively and move the business forward, but also that we're able to help our team members set boundaries and protect their time. We've redefined what the work week should look like in a remote world. It's not the typical Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 anymore. Early in our journey, we conducted an employee survey. We were finding that our team members they were fatigued by Zoom. They were feeling burnout, really uncertain about their ability to build relationships virtually. So we made some changes. First, we limited collaborative meeting hours. This means that our group meetings only take place between the hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific. And then what this does, it both ensures that team members are available to collaborate when needed, and that meetings aren't stretching to all hours of the day across time zones. We also implemented no meeting Wednesdays to dedicate time for heads down work and focus work, and to really help counter that Zoom fatigue. It's tough to be on camera all the time. And then we created shared guidelines for Slack, email, Zoom, phone, and really added structure to the way we conduct our meetings too. And then I think these changes have been really meaningful to our employees. I think the most recent learning, though, that I'll highlight here and I'll own it, is we've also learned how important it is to stay vigilant and periodically revisit these norms, just to ensure that they're still serving the purpose that we intended them to. So No Meeting Wednesday is a great example of this. Our team members have unanimous appreciation for this no meeting day. But as you can imagine, sometimes with set collaboration hours, sometimes Wednesday is the only time you can find to get a large group together. And so some of our team members actually are meeting on Wednesdays. And what we're doing now is we're taking time to understand the root causes of this shift, so we can better understand if we need to consider programmatic adjustments, or if we need to find ways to help our team members more effectively protect that dedicated focus time.
So you mentioned that scheduling is one of the challenges that might come with virtual collaboration. What other challenges are you seeing as it comes to really team collaboration, and how do you address those?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I really personally like to think about strong connection as the foundation for impactful collaboration. So when you're able to build a strong relationship with your team or your cross-functional partners, it just makes getting work done together, like especially that hard work, so much easier. And candidly, it's a lot more enjoyable as well. And so while it can be challenging to build relationships in a remote environment, I think it's not only possible, but it can be incredibly effective if you're intentional about it. And what we do is we build a sense of community virtually through a number of programs. We have really strong virtual communities, incredible ERGs throughout the company. And then we also lean into our not virtual only side of our model too. In-person gatherings, even though we're virtual first, in-person gatherings are so central to what we do, and they really help build stronger teams and a stronger Thumbtack community. So our teams are coming together for large cross-functional events for a deeper connection, professional development, strategic alignment. And then we're also seeing them get together in small groups for sprints and collaboration. They're doing things like product kickoffs, leadership training. And what we're seeing these teams do is they're using flex spaces in cities convenient to where each of the attendees live. And this just gives us the power to be incredibly flexible with our in-person gathering. And it's working. Since going remote, our teams have actually expressed an increased sense of belonging, and this only drives more powerful business outcomes for us.
So your organization is definitely a strong advocate for flexibility. I wonder, how do you define flexibility at Thumbtack?
Yeah, flexibility is good for people. And we found that flexibility is just better for business too. I think, at Thumbtack, flexibility can be so much. It is autonomy for leaders to decide where and why they gather their teams in person. I think it's living where you want to. I live here in the suburbs, or not even the suburbs, the base of the North Georgia mountains. I'm not constrained to being within a 30-mile radius of an office. I think it's spending money on what matters to you instead of on your work wardrobe or gas to commute. Not having to take the day off of work to be home for the plumber. Or like in my case, I was a little late this morning, attending an adorable rendition of You Are My Sunshine at your kid's school, which is where I actually just came from. So, I think at the end of the day, flexibility means fitting work into your life, not the other way
Mhm.
around.
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. We recently conducted this incredible study. Yeah, well, it was a culture predictions report, and we surveyed employees who previously worked in an office and now they work remote. And the results were astounding. So we found that over a third of people said they would seek a new job altogether if they were asked to return to the office. And that included 35% of senior leaders. And with remote work, employees are just able to take better care of their physical and their mental health. And this means greater engagement and stronger performance. I think like some really cool findings that came out of our study, big health benefits. So 76% of our respondents felt mentally healthier, 73% felt physically healthier. And then we also found that remote work helps improve relationships. Particularly our respondents with children said that remote work helped them to be a better parent and more available for those important moments in their kids' lives. And it's not just like from the study. We've heard some really incredible stories about the benefits of flexibility from our own employees too. There was a team member who moved to Oklahoma to build his family's dream home, and then another one who moved from New York City to Denver, being able to live closer to family and explore a whole new lifestyle in a new area of the country. So, I think at Thumbtack, flexibility means helping you to live your best life, whatever that looks like for you.
Amazing. With all of that, right? So culture-wise, the virtual first thinking, and then all the benefits that employees are getting from working remotely and have access to a wide array of spaces near them. How does that impact your fixed offices or your real estate? Does Thumbtack still have an office?
Yeah, we do. We have a headquarters in San Francisco. And it's funny, Al, I'm in a unique position. I've spent much of my career in corporate real estate designing offices. I also come from a family background of construction workers and home builders. So I have this like real affinity for physical space. And I'm also a fierce proponent of virtual and remote work. But here's where I've evolved my thinking. Setting and surroundings absolutely influence behaviors and innovation and mood, but it's about what happens in that space, whether it's physical or virtual, that really matters. I think it's about the intentionality toward bonding and building relationships, even getting vulnerable, that drives meaningful connection. And subsequently, that's what's driving more powerful collaboration and productivity. I think it's about well-crafted and purposeful agendas for your time together, not just being in a company headquarters. So as I mentioned, we do have a company headquarters in San Francisco. We actually call it a library. It's a custom designed space for our virtual way of working, and it's 100% optional for our team members. It was really important to us to not build an office. I think of it like as this uniquely designed space for it's for heads down space if you want it, but it's more so a space for connecting. It's for a place for hosting a happy hour or a team offsite. And I really think in the past, offices had to make trade-offs in order to have it all. But now we can select spaces that are best suited for the unique purpose of each of our in-person moments. It really is giving us this flexibility to solve for each gathering's why. And so what we're seeing is we have team members that are gathering at the office to socialize with colleagues. They're also gathering in an outdoor space to foster creativity or to innovate. They're booking flex co-working spaces to collaborate and get things done. I really believe that flexibility in space has just been a game changer for how leaders think about real estate strategies and investments for the long term.
And we in our audience, we have a lot of workspace managers, thinking about transforming their organization and how to do that. If you can just walk us through how your leadership and management really played into the success of the model so that, we can help others do the same.
Absolutely. Our leaders are so important to our work model. Our chief people officer always says the success of our business depends on the success of our people. And candidly, I just couldn't agree more with that. I think it is vital that leaders actually understand and take the time to intentionally understand what helps and what motivates their employees to thrive. I think there's a few ways our leaders in particular make virtual work work. They foster inclusive environments for their teams, really rooted in our company principles and our company values. They're making sure that transparency and context setting starts at the top. We're not all in the same office together. So they're also increasing access to knowledge and information for everyone. We have a virtual headquarters through our company intranet, and they're just making sure that they're leaning in on open communication, documentation, team meetings. And then what we do for our leaders as well is we really invest back in them. We have programs like our Emerging Leadership Development Program and our 360 Inclusive Leadership Program. And we're making sure that these leaders have access to professional and peer coaching and development opportunities that are just going to set them up for success to lead and to motivate teams in a virtual setting.
So what would you say to the ones that are skeptical about the model, right? That will say, virtual first, no, that won't work.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, it might not be for every company, but I genuinely believe that there's space for it in almost every industry. I think for virtual first to work, you have to genuinely believe in the tenet that the model empowers employees to fit their work into their lives. It's not about fitting their life into their work. You also have to be really deliberate and intentional. You have to be grounded in your guiding principles. I think too, you have to be willing to listen and learn, experiment, and make adjustments as you go. I think, successful work is not about butts and seats or looking over someone's shoulder to make sure that the work's done. It's about three things in my mind. It's about creating intentional ways of working. It's about setting clear expectations, and it's about holding one another accountable. Now, the truth is that you can do these things in almost any work model. The difference, though, is that the result of a virtual first model leads to more engaged employees and more equitable, effective, and flexible outcomes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we obviously live in a very transformational time as it comes to work. So when you look ahead and when you think about the future, what do you see when it comes to the future of work? How is this all going to shape up?
Yeah, well, someone asked me the other day if I thought more organizations would move toward this model, and I just had to laugh. I was thinking about all the calls for return to office in the headlines right now, and I don't know. I worry that companies that force employees back into the office will ultimately see decreased engagement, maybe even increased attrition with their teams. And I really think after experiencing the upsides and the benefits of remote work, showing they can be just as productive, if not more, working from home, I really think we'll start to see top talent seeking out companies that provide them with the flexibility that enhances their overall quality of life. And, I think that companies that offer that will ultimately have their choice of the best talent in the industry. And that'll be really irrespective of geography. So, whether more companies move to a model like ours, I don't know, it remains to be seen. But when I think about the future of work, I think it's actually really simple. I think the future is just flexible.
Amazing. That was a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing the time with us and insight. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience as well. So again, thank you very much. And what should I wish you?
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Let's go with that. Perfect. Thank
Love
you
it.
again.
Thanks, Eyal. Have a great day.